What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another Kentucky Derby update. Thanks for joining me here on a Tuesday, a little bit of a slower day for racing. That's why we like to do these fantasy league shakes and kind of look back at the week that was. I'll be here by myself today. That's all right. By the way, if you hadn't checked out the Magic Mike show, go do that. Magic was by himself yesterday. None of us could really fill in for Somich. Magic did a great job recapping everything. All right. Let's get to it first. The first thing we do on these shows, when we have a fantasy league shake, we go ahead and do that first, get that out of the way. So the Wheel of Death is up. We have a three-way shake here for Mystik Dan, winner of the Southwest Stakes, earning a 101 buyer. You look at Michael Austin there. He said, we win Mystik Dan. Well, we're about to find out. Dennis has three desperate people claiming Mystik Dan. Well, we'll see what happens. All right, so Dan and Michael, John and Ryan, and Geist, they are here right now. I'm going to click the wheel now. Here we go. Who's going to get them? Three-way shake here for Mystik Dan. We'll talk about Mystik Dan here in a second. It is going to stop. Did it get to John and Ryan? No. Geist is going to get it. Geist has won, so he will drop Moonlight Sonata, and he will get Mystik Dan. So Mystik Dan going to Geist. Sorry, Michael, you did not get him. So, yeah, look, I think with Mystik Dan, the positives are there, right? Here, I'll go ahead and get this Wheel of Death out of the way there. The positives are definitely there. The one-on-one buyer, fantastic. I thought he looked fantastic in that race. I just rallied right up the rail and just totally ran away from those horses. I think the weird kind of thing, there's two things for me. One, never had he even been close to that. Like, we've seen some decent performances out of him, but to actually do that was crazy. And two, the slop was really rough at Oaklawn. It was a very sloppy track. I've seen the slot move up horses in the past in big ways, but boy, that was a really big way. So I get the claim. I think it makes sense, especially when you got a horse that really hasn't done much for guys that he's dropping. I get the claim of Mystik Dan. I think that makes a ton of sense. So he was definitely the most impressive horse that could get Derby points last weekend. I don't think there's any doubt about that. So Mystik Dan going to Geist, really good performance there. I think second place finisher Just Steel and the third place finisher of the Southwest Liberal Arts. After I watched those races back a few times now, I could kind of speak a little bit more about them. I'll do that quickly before we go off the air. But man, I think Just Steel is kind of like Red Route 1 in a way, except he doesn't come from way out of it, but he's just going to be around in these races with a chance. And I think, Just Steel might actually make the Kentucky Derby, because I think he's just going to hit the board here and there. And also, when I look at Liberal Arts, really got a rough trip, kind of got running very late. I think that horse could kind of just be around as well. I don't know if either one of those horses are going to win, but they're going to be around. So Dennis, you took the next headline out of my mouth as I go to the Fountain of Youth. We won't have a shake, but the John and Ryan team has claimed Hades. So Hades will go to John and Ryan. They have gotten Hades. Like I said, it's not a shake, but they will claim Hades and drop Lightline. So to talk about the Fountain of Youth, the buyer's already been raised. I don't know if the time is official or not. I really don't know. I will just speak to it visually. I've watched it back 4 or 5 times. It didn't visually look too impressive to me. Domestic Product, who got second, I kind of think maybe that horse, if he was good, should have won, but couldn't get there. Fierceness, bad, really just bad, really, really bad. So I don't know what's going to happen with those horses going forward. I know people kind of are still on Fierceness a little bit, but he does kind of seem like a need the lead type. Really no excuse. I've heard he came out of the race fine. So Holy Bull, total mess. Congratulations to Hades and congratulations to John and Ryan. I don't know. He's undefeated, so we can just say that about him. And he did win. So that was good. Withers, not much to say about the Withers. I mean, it is what it is. If you bet Uncle Heavy, if you own Uncle Heavy, awesome. It was a big win, but after that, I don't know what to say about it. And then, of course, as far as the Kentucky Derby goes, not a whole lot to say about the Robert B. Lewis. I think we saw a horse that's going to be pretty tough in the Preakness in Nisos, but after that, not much behind him, that's for sure. So, I thought we'd have a ton to talk about, but really we don't. It's kind of been covered a few times now. It's going to be very interesting to see kind of what happens and how, again, the Holy Bull, was the time correct? What is the real speed figure? It was the only race ran at 1 mile and 16th, which made speed figures very tough anyway. All kinds of problems with that one. So we'll see what happens down the road with those horses coming out of that race. Okay, let's fast forward to this week. It is going to be, I'm not really sure what to expect in the Sam F. Davis. We do know that Locked has Spike to Fever, will not be in the Sam F. Davis. He was going to be a heavy favorite in that race. We're left with kind of some question marks, that's for sure. I know Agate Road is going to be now going there for Todd Pletcher, so that'll be interesting to see how that works out. It's going to be a wide open race. It's going to be a really good betting card, I think, overall, and a good betting race as well. So we'll see if anything happens. Dennis has a question here. He's got a question. Why doesn't a power horse go to the Withers? Just destroy a weak field and free Derby points. I've always kind of wondered that myself. So you do see when they get to the wood, you see like some better horses ship in there. My thought process, Dennis, is they don't want to ship all the way to New York for 20 points. But I'm kind of with you. It seems like just a free point getter, right? But maybe that's what it is. They don't, because, you think about it, if you're not locally based in New York, the ship from Gulfstream to New York is probably, I've obviously never shipped horses up to Aqueduct from Gulfstream, but I wouldn't think that's easy. Oaklawn Fairgrounds, I wouldn't think that that's easy, and obviously California. So I think it's probably just a long way to go just for 20 points, but you know what I'm saying? So I think that's why you see him come up there for the big one. And I think another thing is, 99 times out of 100, that track seems sloppy for the Withers, and maybe they just don't want to ship up there, run on a sloppy track, all that kind of stuff. That's the only thing I can think of. But I've always thought that about those early New York races, and also the Sunland Derby. I've always thought, like, every year I'm like, man, the Sunland Derby, I bet they ship a couple of horses and steal some points. Every once in a while we get that, but mostly we don't. Mostly the Sunland Derby comes out and we're kind of like, who are these? I know this one maybe, but who are these horses? So I don't know. I really don't know the answer to that. But yeah, I've wondered that as well. So anyway, and I think a lot of times these early races, the guys and gals like to run their horses just out of their own barns, don't ship around much, or, if you do, go to Gulfstream to Tampa or something like that. That's not that big of a deal, but just a guess. But all right, guys, anyway, that's about all we really got. Like I said, our other videos have covered most of this, and it is what it is at this point. We're trying to decipher the Holy Bull and Southwest as well. Was it a fluke? Was it not? We'll find out. Arkansas Derby. Yeah, I guess I should say that. Mystik Dan, Arkansas Derby is what I've heard for him. Uncle Heavy, Wood Memorial next start is what I've heard for him. And then Hades sounds like a Fountain of Youth will be next for him. So that's kind of those three winners that are Derby candidates. That's kind of their next pointing or races they're pointing at. And it, especially for Mystik Dan, you're going to have to wait all the way to the Arkansas Derby to kind of wonder if is he for real? Was it a fluke? What is it? So that'll kind of be an interesting wait. And we'll see what happens. So, all right, guys, we're going to get off of here. At least I'm going to get off of here now. So tomorrow, no shows or anything going on, but then Thursday we'll be right back here. Dudes Who Bet Daily, obviously, will kick us off. Blinkers Off, the Magic Mike Show, and Dudes Who Bet Sports. And I think Papa Dude and I will probably obviously be covering the Super Bowl on Dudes Who Bet Sports. We'll probably share a few stories about Toby Keith. If you have not heard, Toby Keith did pass away early this morning. Really just sad news for a lot of us, especially us around here. He was definitely a legend to a lot of us. So anyway, we'll share a couple stories about him as well on that show. So a little bit to look forward to there. All right, guys. We're going to get off here for now. Everybody have a good rest of your day. Enjoy today and tomorrow. And we will see you right back here on Thursday. All right. See you guys.